Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're fixing to do some more body work on this old girl today, and if there's something I've learned, is these little hoodie string things. Not good for when you're doing grinding or sanding or running a belt sander. Unless you want to be wearing your sander right in your face, do not wear that or tuck it in. Dog's over there choking. But unfortunately, I've been under the weather the last couple days, and I was prepping to do a lot of body work over the weekend, but I got sick. And I got some new tools, I got Bondo, and we're gonna get into action. A couple of you guys were really concerned about the location I put the intercooler, why I put it behind the radiator, worried it's gonna get heat soaked and just destroy something, not sure what. I think that you guys have been watching too much Greg A and Fire Punk Diesel, and it's really showing. Because rigs like this, there's not a lot of real estate for pretty much any of this engine or its accoutrements or accessories, like cooling, air to air. A lot of people go water to air, whatever, trying to mix it up. And a lot of people that do a Cummins swap in these older rigs will go early first gen style or just industrial and completely not even use an intercooler and just go straight from turbo to intake. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have some kind of cooling properties, so we got a little miniature intercooler. We're going to try it out. At the end of the day, this thing is not a work rig. It's not a complete tow rig. It's just going to be something that's going to be sweet as hell, driving around to Cars and Coffee and eventually towing the Charger here. By the way, I ordered EFI Live for that, so yeah, that's going to be exciting to put on there and actually drive it. But let's get to work on this thing, get her back on the road. So a couple of you guys that have been very alert on the channel and have recognized that this truck doesn't give the appearance that it's a 1966 truck. A couple people stated that the back window was wrong. It's supposed to be a big window, but you see this insert here? Up until 68, you had the option to go either way, so that's fine. But the bed, yep, that's wrong. Front end, front clip, that's wrong. But I think this will lead to some of the suspicions why we got the wrong bed on there, because we had a big old hole right here from one of the beds rubbing on it, rubbing here, That bed doesn't show any of those signs, and it rubbed all the way across right here. So I'm starting to think that the last bed was slightly damaged, and they just swapped her out with maybe a white one, or just painted it white, cow print. We got to go along, and this isn't going to be seen, but just makes me feel a little bit better knowing that I spent the 5 minutes with hammer dolly and maybe slap a little Bondo over it just to fix this one little dent. I already fixed a hole right here with a couple snaps of a welder. Might as well just keep going. I'm not sure what year this particular tool is, but it's not something I bought recently at Harbor Freight. My uncle picked this thing up years ago at a swap meet. Box says $229. Plug her into your 110 outlet. It says, do not hold trigger for more than 1 second. Welds a killer little stud there to it. You go and find the slide hammer. Painless paint that, remember? I think I burned through probably 250 of these things, maybe more. They come in a box of 500. For this little dent right here, I look like I'm going to be running through at least 3, maybe 4 of them. Little dingers, this thing will pop them out like one run. But that stuff that I did on the door over there, that's a lot of work. You get her pretty dang close, and that's about all she's going to take. You zip that thing off. I'll show you on this big quarter over here on the door. There's a spot here. I already did that one of those. That just needs Bondo. Down here, this was completely tacoed in. Had a big old nasty crease in it. I hammer dollied that dent out, or what was left over of the crease dent. We got a spot up there, but I'll need to hit these all with Bondo, but you can't Bondo over paint, so I need to open up these areas quite a bit more. Oh, there's one nasty one right there. Let's go ahead and slide that old girl right there into it. She ain't light. I don't know if a new one would be any lighter or what, but... Hey, this spot right here, I ended up using four little guys on there. Zip that off with a cutoff wheel. This one up here, probably used a dozen on it, just working different little spots and then trying to make somewhat of a noticeable ridge. But I'm gonna have to go back through with Bondo over that a little bit because that one is a little bit too far gone. Same thing with one up there. It just, sometimes the dents are a little bit too big for one spot to be able to pop her back out. So down here, this is a prime example of some cattle been pushing against these doors. That one wasn't so bad. I was able to pop that out from the inside. But this here, it also needed a patch panel here and here because this door had been racked. I spent about 6 hours trying to get these hinges to cooperate so that the door will actually close, because it did not close when I was done straightening the hinges out. And it turned out, yep, the rails are correct, but then the pin alignment was just a little bit off, but now she closes. So we got to go back through and pop out this major dent that creased in and bent a little lip right here, and then same thing going up that way. So it's all taken care of now, but what I'm going to do is zip those all off and we're going to Bondo that. Well, you guys remember how 5 minutes ago I said this thing was ready for Bondo? I noticed one little dent down there that was actually pretty good dent. Equivalent to a claw hammer smacking it. So it made deep penetration. I think we got most of that thing ironed out. Once I cut these things off, I'll tap it back down just a little bit in this one spot. I figured since I was there and got everything geared up for it, might as well tackle the couple creases that I spotted out on this one after doing a little bit more sanding. Bodywork takes an extreme amount of time. It's unbelievable how much it just goes into it, because you notice one little dent like that and you're here. Might as well just do it. So it sounds like the rain's letting up a little bit. I'm gonna grab my boy from the house, have him help me clean up the shop a little bit, and I think we'll spread a little bit of Bondo on a couple spots here and there. Sounds like something fun to do while he's down here. We're gonna chip away at a little bit of time that was wasted over the last week of being sick. Now I noticed something when I did the first door. Now I reefed really hard on this, trying to pull these dents out. This side probably had 100 plus of those studs added to it, and every one of those spots that the stud was, it's got a little bit of a. Now I thought I would just mud over those on the other side. The other side probably needs a little bit more mud than I think this one will by the time I'm done with this procedure. But I'm gonna go back through and just slightly tap on all these. Like there's one right there. And just knock that sucker down just a little bit. Again, this was caved in. There's no other way to explain the cavage that these had other than a cow just leaned its hindquarters up against it and just put her into the, you know, every bit was bent up all the way down to the core support. So that's what I'm going to go through and knock these down. Then we're going to hit it with 60 grit, really polish her in, give her a nice smooth-ish surface that has a lot of traction for the Bondo to adhere to. And we're going to go ahead and mud this one in right here. And we got to do a little bit more on the other side because the surface was a little bit farther spread than I thought. But I got to put the muffs back on because this pounding gets to you after a while. Now, if you learned something from what I'm doing here, awesome. I've never done any of this before, but just a ideology of common sense. Little taps on this stuff. Little taps is all you need, because you hit it hard, you're going to take a bigger area with it. If you just tap that one little spot a bunch of times, just take the one little solo. And if you really get aggressive, you can get that fine point sucker in there, which I've used that a lot on a different spot. I'll show you here in a little bit. If you guys don't know about this section right here, that's the difference that the wheelbase had between the donor truck and the 66 and the short bed here. So I added this section in and I made a toolbox up in there. I thought that was kind of neat, never seen that before. Typically, I think a lot of guys would just modify the frame, but I wanted to keep that 97 Dodge intact so everything would be the same. If you needed to replace drive shaft or anything like that, obviously that could be custom made, but getting off subject. She's all done up and de-dusted and all that, ready for some Bondo. Don't know what the deal is right here, but there was a hole. No idea. I don't know if they had flags or shovels or something sticking out, but it was really mangled up right here. So I took a hole saw, made a new little insert, and had to hammer dolly that thing back into correction. So I got to fill in this. Just needs a nice little layer right here. I was able to touch that up just a little bit, and I got rid of one high spot. It's easier to deal with low spots all over the place than one high spot, because that'll just ruin your day. So I need to blend this into over here with some Bondo. This is the rear door. Now, a lot of people might question, why not just replace the door? Well, I never even looked into it, but rumor has it that the rear doors on these old swept line, trying to find the crew cab blend, they are not cheap. And if you find an original one, it might just be in the same shape or worse than this one. So I'm happy to go ahead and put some TLC into this, because this door looks fantastic from what it used to look like. It's honestly unbelievable, the transformation that door has. So I'm gonna get some Bondo mixed up quick. Had to fire up the wood stove. Started seeing my breath. Felt like that was a little chilly. So let's get some Bondo. Got a little bit of arm pump, slapping this on there. Mixed up a real big batch and felt confident that I could hit too many spots with it. Ended up only hitting this one and that one and one little one up there. Didn't even get to my prize door, but oh well. I did one base pass, a second pass, and then the third one is hitting that spot right there. I just had like a dip that wouldn't do nothing, so I just threw a shotgun blast at it. She's there now. And this will be, I started this one over from scratch. I just hogged it all out with the sander because I didn't like what it was looking. Anyway, Yellowstone's kicking off tonight for episode 4 or something like that. So I'm going to go turn in, come back tomorrow after I get a, hopefully, root canal. That's been the root of my whole week going downhill. So fingers crossed for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow at some point. Well, everybody, I've been all over the place. I don't know if I mentioned to you guys that I was sick, but got a root canal, major tooth infection, sucker died. Got that taken care of this morning. Got a new air compressor set up outside, but you're not here for my personal update BS. You want to see how this bed extension's doing? Well, I'll tell you what, one side's doing better than the other side, and this is the side doing better. Let me show you. So if you remember, 8" of this sculpted on. Probably already told you that, I don't know. This side actually came out really well. We don't have much of a gap really at all. I mean, this side is really close to being done. I'm obviously going to go back through and fill in a couple of these low spots here and there and some of the sculpting process. You know, it's my first time, so this spot, yeah, that could use just a tickle more. Problem is, I've gotten a little aggressive with the sanding, and I pretty much had to start all the way over again because I just went back down to nothing rather than let something build up. So this is the side that I first did, and it doesn't look bad from 20 feet, but then you get up close to it and you're like, it still doesn't look bad. And then you put this sucker on it. We got a little gap right there, which that's not bad. Like, I don't want to put that much Bondo, but we'll like split the difference. This spot, yeah, we got a little bit. Up here's not bad. But I'm going to go ahead and goop on another layer. And now that I got a new compressor, it can actually keep up with my power sander. Also, my little wire wheel Hummer majigger that goes in the truck. the new compressor. Big thanks to my dad. Snagged his old one. He bought a fancy screw compressor that's super efficient, super quiet, and only takes like 5 minutes to pump up. He gave me his 20-year-old one. Asked him what he's gonna do with it, and he said, well, I guess I don't need it. So I snagged it up, built a little building out there for it so it's outside, out of the weather. Man, the learning curve is real right now. I don't know how many different layers and attempts and different angles I went on this, but I'm learning. And realistically thinking about it, I still got quite a bit of Bondo left over, 80 bucks a gallon. I got like 20 bucks per side on this thing. I got some on the cab. I think we're doing all right. Got a lot on the floor, but we're learning. So what I discovered is instead of trying to just sand the whole thing out as a whole, because I didn't watch any YouTube videos or do anything educational, I just sent it. Here we are. I went back over it with my straight edge like I should, just checking for high and low spots, and then I'll work them with orbital in those high spots, bring them down, so that way when I go over with the big flat sander, it doesn't have to worry about a high spot, because if you were eating on that high spot, you're also hitting everything around it a little bit, so you're taking it down as a group, and that's just not really efficient. But I think, I'm not going to say anything, but you know what I'm saying, this next pass, I'm hoping we'll bring it right there on the verge. And another thing I discovered that helps me out a lot is I draw a little map. So I got the swept line right here on the map, and then I got my seam. So I have coordinates on here, and if it's a really thick spot, I'll do more than just a little dot. But everywhere here, I just do a little bit of dot, and then right on the seam, I just need to hit it with a little pass and just kind of round out the edges a little bit. Same thing on the other run. Top is just about there. It just needs a little bit. Realistically, the Bondo is not that thick. There's a couple spots that are a little bit thicker than the rest. But I have no idea when you're doing custom bodywork how thick the Bondo will actually be. Obviously, you don't want it more than a freaking 1/4 inch, because at that point you've really done something bad with the metal. I think we're going to make a couple exceptions here and there, because we don't want this thing eating up more hours than it did. Last night, I don't know, probably Bondo alone I got, I don't even want to tell you how many hours I got into it. I did 5 last night and got us to this spot, so we got pretty close last night. But it just, you know, that's doing other stuff on the truck too. Anyway, let's get back to it. I'm gonna clean this up and give her that last pass of Bondo with my map, and then we got the whole rest of the bed to worry about, which I could see old Bondo in it. That's soak the fire. Yep, you'd certainly die if you didn't have one of these things. I got 2 of them barely still alive. I don't want to get caught up too much longer on this Bondo work on the bed. It actually didn't turn out as thick as I was expecting. I made a couple adjustments and we're gonna make it work. But I'm gonna go ahead and back the truck up underneath there and set it down on there and see how she looks. Because this truck was a ranch truck. I think it was a church going truck, as in the church owned it. It said something church on the side and Jesus, and there's a cross. I figure they had little kids and stuff crawling around this thing throwing rocks at it. So it's gonna have dents that I'm certainly gonna miss. So I don't want to get too carried away on the body work. Right back under the lift you go. Hopefully they're close enough we can shimmy it. close-ish. Find my blocks for the back. I only got one, and I need more than one. I need 2 metal blocks and 4 of the 1/2-inch plastic spacers. Just little doggers to bring her on home. Might not need all of this. Now I gotta need them all. That's but we can. Wow, she is way off. Oh, there's a block right here. It looks badass. Let me get this straight. That bad. Alright. She's not right where she's supposed to be, but she's close. I think it needs to be tweaked this side just a little bit. Oh. I think right there's where she's supposed to be. I opted out of doing the fuel cap cutout, although I think that would be pretty slick, but it's already nice and slick with nothing on it. This whole side, where are they at? Right here, here, here. Had those like garden hooks for hooking down your dump run bungees and stuff like that. Took those out, filled all those with welds. Need to go back over and Bondo those. Just a little bit. Those are the nice Bondos. This one is, I got 2 days into finish work on that, and I probably still got another 4 hours probably to make it perfect. I don't know if it's quite going to be perfect, but we'll try to get it nice. But also there was these 2, I don't know what they were, a freaking shovel holder? It was a cup holder in the side of the bed. Filled that, filled the filler neck because we don't need that no more. So what my plan here is, take this guy and just build a little bracket down here for the factory fuel neck. I did meet up with a guy and saw my second ever in-person swept line crew cab, and he's still running factory everything, old school, except it's got Cummins in it, and I think 5-speed manual, a couple turbos. It's a pretty sweet truck, but he's still running the factory fuel tank in the cab. And he did report, yep, you still get the fumes. I don't want the fumes at all, so that's why I didn't go that route. Plus, that's hours and hours of work when something's already pretty much done right there. But how do you guys think she looks? I'll get you up in close. But I think I like it out here off the lift, so I can do some sanding on the whole rig. I think I'll probably finish up the day doing that rather than trying to finesse some Bondo. I got probably 6 layers right there. Pulling all those out right there, this whole door was just majorly kicked in. You remember that last video where I was popping that out with the football or something? Popped a couple footballs trying to get that dent to pop. And ended up having to put a patch panel right here. It was actually a little Swiss cheesed action that I couldn't see. The paint had actually held it together just enough, but when I started pushing that dent, she showed. So I had to patch panel that, and the door is, I mean, it's in excellent shape from what it was. Definitely not perfect, but this, I'll be honest, what I did is follow the line. It's nice and smooth in the last little bit, so I don't have to go extreme, which is not really much Bondo on it, to be honest with you. It's just a little, but trying to match it, I realized I had to spread it all the way to back here, but it just kind of lays off just a little bit right there at the end, so I don't have a big old wavy chunk. You saw the gooseneck balls in there. It seems like it's in a really weird location because it's got a short box that's pushed back. I got no bumper, I guess, on here, so I mean I could literally, but it's in a spot slightly in front of the rear axle, so that's where it should be. So this thing's gonna look kind of funny going down the road with a gooseneck on it, because it's, I don't know, it looks sweet. I can tell it's a short bed, but it's not. Oh, that's having second thoughts. Be honest with you, it looks a little weird, but it looks badass at the same time. Oh, here, I know it'll make it look better. I did dress up right in here with Bondo just with my finger, so I gotta go back in there and hand sand that. But let's drop that down. Long Larry. I think next time, even though I bought that Ford out there you probably haven't seen, but I think next round I'll probably do another swept line eventually down the line after the Chargers get done. I got 2 of those to do. But I don't think I'll buy one that's cheap like this one was. This one was literally the price of the truck, and it came with a free Cummins, or I bought a Cummins and it came with a free truck, one or the other. But I've put a lot of hours into Bodywork. Got this door. I got to do another little layer of Bondo on it. I need to sand it down quick, and then no, actually, I just need to put a layer of Bondo on it. Got one spot, I think some leftovers. Whew, boys and girls, that I'll tell you what. This side's a little. It might be kind of wonky because that hitch is in there. It needs to be. Yeah, there's a problem. That hitch is springing it just a little bit. Man. Well, I needed to get a video update out for you guys. Here it is. Swept line progress. Damn, that truck's big, but small at the same time. See you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys think of this Bodywork. If you've done this stuff before, let me know. Again, I've never done any of this in my entire life. Never done Bondo, never done metal fabrication, metal shaping stuff. This thin sheet metal stuff, that's a whole new ballpark for me. But man, this truck's coming around. It definitely is going to get a little bit of a, probably 1.5 block up front, because it's got a little. But anyway, we'll see you guys in the next one. I'm rambling on. Appreciate it very much. If you like this video, thanks so much.